Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with my very special guest,
Robert Sanchez.
Yay! Yes, I admit I'm now prepping the people before I point at them, just in case. Had a long streak of people knowing what it was, what to do, but just one fail here, and I'm like,
Can't have that
maybe
again.
I should tell people. Yeah. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Pretty good. It's pretty good for a day off.
Yeah.
Time is flying by, though.
It really is. This weekend went by quick.
Yeah, definitely. Do you use a stage name for comedy?
I do not know.
All right, cool. Do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Sometimes I feel that I should have, but then other times, mostly just because of age, but then other times I feel that, I did start at a good time.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get addicted to comedy right away?
It took a little bit just because I had a bunch of stage fright, so I wasn't sure if I could get past that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have stage fright still, or?
Not necessarily. It's more, I still get nervous, but I've been told that never goes away, really.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's weird how my nervousness comes out in different ways. Do you ever notice something different, like when you get extra nervous?
My hands start to shake.
Wow.
Yeah. The way I've overcome that, though, is I tend to keep the mic to my chin, so it's like some form of stability, and that allows me to calm down a little bit more, control the nerves.
Interesting. Some kind of skin contact calms them down. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you ever just go up there with ideas, or what's your writing process for comedy?
Now, I started last year with a goal of coming up with 100 premises for the year, and anything that remotely makes me chuckle or just go, ha, I write it down, and I take that idea, however I wrote it down, and take it on stage and kind of write on stage and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then eventually sometimes the different ideas will happen at separate times, and it ends up being, I can put it together as like one longer bit.
Okay. Cool. So do you ever end up writing the whole joke down?
Yeah. Once it gets to a certain length and I want to be able to hit all the marks. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. So what got you into comedy?
I actually started taking acting classes. And in those classes, we got asked to come up with 3 goals that we can accomplish within the next 6 months. The first 2 was like getting headshots. The second one was taking an improv class. And the third one, I couldn't come up with anything. And I just thought about how I don't necessarily watch movies. I watch more comedy shows or stand-up. And that made me just want to try it.
Okay, cool.
And then I tried it once. It went awful, but it was something that I was like, I know I can do better at this.
Sure.
And it made me want to do it more.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you still doing improv?
No, it was just a free class that I took just to see what that was like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's for you, or?
Not the improv, no. I do like the acting. I do a couple commercials or ads here and there right now. And it's kind of like a side thing since I'm not really at a point where I'm making money off of comedy. So that kind of helps with the income.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So do you have to drive to LA to do that, or?
No, I do it here.
Do you here?
The furthest I have driven to LA. Furthest I've driven was Santa Clarita, but most of it is within Oceanside and here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Nice. So who's the funniest person in your life right now?
Oh man. In my life.
Doesn't have to be a comedian.
Yeah.
sometimes it's not.
I mean, a lot of friends, I think some of my friends from high school were, my friend Brian Bravo. He's probably one of the funniest persons I know. I even told him to start doing comedy, and he was not interested at all. And I'm like, dude, of all the people I know, I feel like you're one of the ones that should be doing it.
Yeah. It's very interesting how that happens.
Yeah.
Funniest people don't necessarily
Want to.
Yeah. It's like I'm trying to get better at comedy. So, of course I'm going to do it.
Right.
I don't know how else to get better. Yeah. So I asked this a question of everybody. I don't always remember what the answer is, but when did we meet?
We met some point like 3 years ago, within my first year of comedy.
Okay.
I would see, once I started coming more consistently, I definitely started seeing you around.
Was it here in the
Here.
Madhouse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Sweet. So how many nights a week are you doing comedy right now?
Now I kind of toned it back a little bit because school started again, but I'm doing it about 3 to 4 days a week. Trying to throw in shows here and there whenever I get the chance.
Yeah.
As well.
Nice. So what are you going to school for?
Currently business admin for an associate's, but then looking to do international business for a bachelor's.
Oh yeah. Sweet. What school are you thinking of going to?
I applied to SDSU. I'm just waiting to see if I got in or not, and then go from there.
Alrighty. Congratulations. I mean, hopefully, congratulations. Well, it's congratulations because you're in school. A lot of people just like think about doing things and never do it.
True.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
Hobbies, not really, but passions. I like dancing. I like to dance a lot. Do all kinds of, mostly Latin styles. A couple years ago, I think it's 6 years ago now, I competed in Argentine Tango International Summit or something like that. And that was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does it take two to tango?
It does, yeah.
Who was your partner?
My then girlfriend at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Too bad she died.
Right.
So have you traveled for dancing, or have you ever traveled to do comedy? Or
I haven't traveled for dancing, but I have traveled for comedy. Last year, I made it a goal because I wanted to see how my jokes perform in other environments outside of San Diego.
yeah, like underwater.
Yeah, there's that too. It doesn't sound as good.
Yeah, you
believe it or not.
almost drowned. But
Very muffled. No, I have traveled so far to Seattle. I've done mics there. I went to Austin, tried to do Kill Tony in the Mothership. Didn't get in though.
sure.
I've gone to Phoenix. I've gone to Vegas twice, to LA. I even went as far as doing a set in Spanish in TJ.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
Not as good as I'd hoped. It's a lot faster paced Spanish comedy.
Ah.
Yeah. And I'm so used to the slower pace of English that
It's talk.
Yeah. And I didn't have jokes for that kind of audience. It was just, I just took my jokes and translated them. And a lot of my jokes for an English audience is translating the Spanish words. So I was saying the Spanish words and then I was going to translate it and I was like, but you guys already know what that means. And so it was happening in the moment. Yeah, it was bad.
You're just realizing that as you...
Yeah. I was like, oh, wait, but you guys...
I should have prepared better.
I had a moment where I forgot how to say spicy in Spanish. And I was like, oh, no, or spice. Yeah, and then I said no spicy. And then they just yelled at me. They're like, "It's salsa, pendejo!" Like, it's salsa, dumbass. Like, or picante. Yeah. So that was embarrassing.
Sure. So they said it in English, or they said
No,
it in
they
Spanish?
said it in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be even more insulting if they just corrected you
In
in
English.
You're like, oh. So I could be doing my English set right now.
I was like, wow, this could have gone so much better.
Yeah. It's funny. So what are your goals in comedy right now?
I want to get booked on more, be more consistent with getting booked on shows. Because right now it's still sporadic.
Right.
I'd like to have like a consistent number. I don't know, 5 to start off with, 5 a month, if possible. Hopefully 10. But I know I have to push myself a little harder to reach out to people and be more consistent in that regards.
Yeah, that's something that I thought with booking my own show. I thought people would just be banging down my door.
Yeah.
And it's like I think people just forget that the show is every Friday, Saturday.
Right.
So with the email list, it definitely has helped.
Really?
There's get on the private slotted list, and I'm like, oh, I need people. I push a button,
And it sends. Okay.
People sign up for that, and I'm like having to like. Then I'll like see people in person. I'll be like, Robert Sanchez. Let me see. Search. Oh, Robert Sanchez is on the list. Here, what's your email?
Right.
Type your email and then your name, and then push the button.
Hit send. No, I feel like I was told initially, or I can have this idea where I feel like that just consistently happens to people.
You just consistently get booked. And yes, that definitely happens.
Well, no, I mean more so in the fact that bookers are getting hit up all the time, so I don't want to like be another person to annoy them.
I think it does happen. It's just the more prestigious the place, so say like a comedy club, the more they're getting bombarded.
Right.
So, and then there's places that book 3 months out.
Right.
You know, so it's like, oh yeah, sure, we have a spot for you.
Just 3 months from now.
It's 4 months from now,
Yeah.
or even like, wait, what? I thought you booked 3 months out. Like, yeah, but we're getting ahead of it.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely don't know all the ins and outs. I'm just trying to like. And it's also I struggle with like doing what everybody wants. The bookers are looking for, and the audience even.
Right.
I'm like right now I'm trying to like not ask people questions.
Like during your set?
Yeah. Like, I just start writing a joke, and it's like, did you know, or I don't know, just questions are just so much funner. So I'm like, there's one joke that I knew, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'll be like, I was talking to my counselor, and I said these crazy things.
Right.
And, instead of like asking the
The crowd,
audience,
make it.
these things.
Yeah,
are
I
really
do the
crazy.
question things a lot too when I first come up with a joke, and I have to figure. It's finding the way to make it a statement as opposed to a question.
Right, yeah. It's like I was like, oh, but I still want it. Like at first I was like, oh, I still want it to be a question. Maybe I could say I asked my friend. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, but if people aren't paying attention, they might think I'm still
Asking
them a question. I'm like, damn it. If these people weren't so stupid.
I've done it sometimes where I make it like others ask me that question,
Sure.
and then I would respond how I would respond to it, or
Right. Just
so I can
remember,
yeah.
especially at a bar show or something, if people
Yeah.
aren't paying attention, they might think that they hear a question, they want to answer it.
Right.
That's just unfortunately.
I mean, at that point, then you could just ask it again, I guess. I don't know. Like, ask that, like, you're trying to do your set, and then they try to answer. It'd be like, all right, does anyone else want to answer? Since we're here.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'll see how it goes if I can stop asking questions on stage and see if that gets better. And like also, I'm doing the thing where it's like I'm explaining why I go into character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've attempted that several times, but now I'm like, again, gonna like see if I can just make it the first joke or something.
Gotcha.
You know,
I do like doing where I am asking the crowds questions, but as crowd work, but specifically having it lead to a joke.
right?
Not trying to make a joke from what their responses are.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. So what is your favorite joke right now? Could be anybody's joke.
Anybody's joke? I think most recently, or it's from a comic named Cam Patterson. He's a newer comic. I went to go see him in Ontario a couple weeks ago.
He like has the pictures and stuff.
He got big on Kill Tony.
Does he like pace around this? No, that's someone else.
No, he's the one that got big on Kill Tony because he said he liked rocks.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Rocks, yeah.
And his joke is it was such an interesting take, but it was about how, what if Hitler made it to heaven? And just the trajectory he goes into that to elaborate on the joke, it's pretty great.
Huh. I'll have to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either someone was a fan of you or you were a fan of someone else?
As far as like, or just in general or on stage?
I don't know. What do you think when I say that question?
That made me
On
think.
stage? I hope not. That sounds like a heckler. I'm saying you have a good set, you go outside or just outside the door or whatever, and then later someone's like, oh, that was an awesome set.
Oh, okay.
And,
Something like that. Gotcha.
Or you go and see somebody at a comedy club
Yeah.
or whatever, and you get to interact with them.
And as far as me interacting with someone, it was I did a meet and greet with my favorite comedian, Daniel Sloss, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I got a book and everything, or that he put out, and got it signed or autographed, and that was a great interaction. As far as just interactions with of people interacting with me, I don't have a specific one, but it is cool when people approach me and like mention a joke.
Do they ever get it wrong, or do they mostly get it wrong?
Well, it's not necessarily like they're quoting the joke, but they
Right.
just say, like I have one where I talk about awasom, which is my mom just mispronouncing awesome.
Yeah.
And so they'll come up to me after my set and they'll be like, hey, awasom, or those.
Right.
I've had people take pictures of that cleaning product and send it to me. They're like, dude, I get it now.
That's cool.
Or I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, are you the Argentinian guy? And I'm like, yeah, and I've seen you at Madhouse, or I saw you at ACC, whatever.
That's cool.
So that's always fun.
Nice. Cool. So what is your favorite place to do comedy?
I'd say Madhouse, believe it or not, just because it's where
In the brick room?
yeah, it's where I started. And so for some reason I guess because of that, I'm most comfortable here. So I'm loose. And in allowing myself to be loose, it allows for a more genuine interaction or a genuine set and stuff.
What about the main stage? You like the main stage?
I like it, just not as much as the brick room though. I like the more intimate setting compared to the men's stage, and the fact that I can still see the audience and I'm not blinded by the lights. So that's always cool.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So what was your family like growing up?
My family, I mean, immigrant household. Mom was working all the time. I grew up with just my mom and my brother, the youngest. Yeah, kind of.
So you are the youngest?
I'm the youngest, yes, out of my siblings.
By how many years?
There's 3 of us, but I only grew up with one of them. And the one I grew up with, there's a 4-year age difference.
Okay.
With the oldest, there's I want to say 14-year difference. Something like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what's your earliest memory?
I want to say when I was like 7, going to school. It's my mom forgot that she dropped off my brother because we were going to 2 different schools at the time, and she dropped him off and was supposed to take me to school, but then completely forgot and just started driving to work, and I was just quiet in the back. And after like 5 or 10 minutes, I was like, "Hey, Mom, where are we going?" And she just looks in the rearview mirror and goes, "Fuck." Damn it.
Hey, Mom, where are we going?
Yeah.
At least you didn't wait till she got to work.
Right? Just kind of chill. There's another family friend who's like a grandparent to me. Same instant, or I guess I was always like an angry kid. Like I was happy, but I would always get mad at annoyed. And we had a path that I was used to going to on our way to school, and then he would occasionally take a different route. And I was like, "That's not the way to school. Why are we going this way?" And he goes, "Oh, because you never know which way the enemy's going to attack." It's just the most random stuff. So that's another fond memory of that, like around that age time.
That's cool.
Mom, where are we going?
So she just had to try to take you.
Yeah, she just turned around and was like,
I wonder if she was late.
She was definitely late to work.
Damn.
Because I think it was like a 20-minute drive to her work from where we were.
Great. I wonder if she told the truth. I spaced out and almost took my kid to work.
She constantly reminds me of that more than I remember it, to be honest.
She reminds you?
Yeah, she remembers that a lot more.
Oh my goodness. That's funny.
Yeah.
So what does she say when she reminds you?
She just tells me that. She's like, "You couldn't have said anything before." And I was like, "I don't know what you wanted from me." And what's even funnier is the same thing happened with my uncle. So it was like 2 separate occasions, like one with my mom, one with my uncle, but they both forgot about me.
Oh my goodness.
My uncle too. He got on the freeway and I was like, "Oh, where are we going?" And he's like, "Fuck." So that one, I don't know. I guess I was just a lot quieter at the time. Now I just never shut up.
You're like, this isn't the way to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. So what's the biggest audience you perform for?
Probably at one of the open mics at ACC.
Yeah.
I think it was like 150, give or take. I know they've been max. I don't know what their max capacity is, but I know it's been there once or twice, or close to it, and I've gone on stage.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Got to do 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah. Not all of those were good.
What?
Yeah, that was definitely a or worse moment.
Yeah. But hopefully we can take those skills and make them funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or be funnier. I don't know. What do I know? Let's see. So, besides comedy and dancing, is there any other art that you do?
No. I mean, aside from like car karaoke, but
Car karaoke? Is that a new sport?
no.
Another art?
That's what they call it when you're just singing and driving.
And the shower karaoke separate?
Yeah, that's separate.
Interesting.
I don't know. There's something comforting about when you're in the car.
Yeah. But But you're singing to the regular songs, right? You're not like putting on special karaoke.
Oh, no. Just singing to the regular songs, yeah.
Right, so it's not really karaoke.
Or just, I guess, yeah, then, no. I do have a karaoke machine at home, though, that I use occasionally.
Wow.
So there's...
It's not portable, though.
No,
it's
you
not
have
waterproof?
to... You have to plug it in. No.
You got to get a portable, waterproof one. Then you can just do karaoke wherever you're at.
I've seen people with, like, those little mics that have the speakers around it.
Yeah.
So there's...
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite song to sing to?
Oh, man.
Or your favorite group, or your favorite genre, or favorite time?
Queen is a good one. I actually didn't know who Queen was till I was living in Japan and started doing karaoke. Yeah, and that was in 2015, 2016. Yeah.
Why were you in Japan?
I was in the military, and I was stationed out there.
What?
Yeah.
Another surprise. What will we say next?
Yeah, I was
We're in the military. Can you tell us what you did in the military?
I was a tomahawk technician.
What? What's a tomahawk? Is it like an axe?
No, it's a missile.
Oh, man.
I worked on a weapons control system that launched missiles.
Let me ask you this. How come missiles and such like are so phallic?
Phallic?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're like penises.
Oh.
What is going on with that?
It makes them more aerodynamic,
Oh,
I believe.
I see.
At least that's what I would want to believe.
That makes sense. All right. So, I believe you now. If you would have said some crazy thing, I'd be like, oh, sure, you were on tomahawk.
Right?
Oh, yeah, sure. So what made you decide to join the military?
Just at the time, I was just looking around where I was living at and the people around me, kind of like that. I saw they were living like paycheck to, or not paycheck to, but they were living day to day. Like there was no really goal past tomorrow.
All right.
And I didn't want that. But I knew if I stayed, I would kind of just, get into or the rat race, whatever it's called. And I would just become a part of that as well, and I didn't want to.
All right.
Yeah.
So what age did you sign up?
I tried signing up at 17, but there were some difficulties, and I ended up getting in at 19. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Sweet. Do you regret it?
No. I mean, there's some things where I wish I could have not been as much of a hothead. Yeah, I could have handled differently, but aside from that, as far as the entire thing, I don't regret it at all.
So then how long were you in the military?
9 years. Yeah. I got out this July will be 2 years since I got out. Yeah.
Nice. Let's see. So are you applying stuff that you learned in the military in your life now, or?
I mean, I'm using the benefits to go to school and kind of.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but as far as work that I've done, no, because I'm not in the same field.
So nobody wants you to work on their missiles.
No, or the system that launches them. But yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. No, I wasn't.
You have to tell people you're a foreign agent.
I wasn't the best tech either, so it's part of the reason. It's another reason why I was just like, I probably shouldn't do that. But I did learn how it doesn't matter how late I go to sleep or what I'm doing the night before. If there's something I need to do the next day that's early, I can get up and do it and just get it done. So there's that, like when things need to get done. Yeah. The discipline in that aspect, like when things need to get done.
That's cool.
But when I have free time, it's just I don't necessarily do much with it. So it's like discipline, but not discipline.
Sure. You wish you had more discipline when it came to things that you just kind of want to do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, start your own podcast. You'll friggin' come up and do it, even though you're like, I don't really know if I want to do it, or
Do I have the energy?
are they gonna be here on time? I don't know. I guess I'll set up when. So here we are. We're having fun. Are we having fun?
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Sweet. So what was your family life growing up?
My family?
Your family life.
Oh, life. We moved around a lot. Yeah, anytime I've told people the places I've gone to, they always thought I was a military brat. But it was like, no, my mom just every couple of years we got up and went somewhere else. I've lived.
How many different names does she have?
No, just the same one, which is surprising. My brother was a troublemaker, so there were a couple times where we had to leave the places we were living at. So
Really?
Yeah.
School or police or?
Not. It was just the landlords would be like, "Hey, you're more than welcome to stay, but your son has to go. Like he's causing too much trouble around the complex." Things like that.
Oh, because he was like an adult?
No, it was just as a teenager. He was just a very, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They wanted you to.
He just, I don't know. He just
kick
never
your brother
really
out.
hung out with the right crowd. So that would always get brought near to the house or the apartments we were living at and things like that. So it's kind of, yeah. One time I got my shoes stolen because of some of his friends, or they got mad at him or something. So it was like stuff like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But by the time I graduated high school, I went to 10 different schools. I've also lived in 2 other countries at the time. I lived in Argentina and Paraguay.
Wow.
Yeah, so my mom really liked moving around.
Did you ever ask her why she moved around so much?
No. Some of those, like I said, were my brother. Other ones, she wanted to go back to the motherland, kind of deal. Then she got a job opportunity to go to the Paraguay. So it was like those kind of had answers. When I was younger, I don't necessarily remember, and at a point, it's kind of like it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, what's your favorite culture?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, the Japanese culture is pretty cool. When I was there, I didn't want to come back. I had a harder time adjusting back to America than I did when I initially went to Japan.
Wow.
Yeah. It was so, everyone has their organization. They're very efficient people. They're very consistent with what they do and how they go about things. One of my favorite things that I saw was in escalators for people that don't want to walk, or
I already know what he's coming. This everybody in the world needs to do this shit. So annoying. Go ahead.
in the escalators for people that don't want to walk, they move over to the right.
There you go.
And they leave the left side open for people that do.
Yeah, because just because the stairs are moving doesn't mean you need to fucking stop. What the fuck?
And what's crazy is they'll form lines and still have that one side open for people that want to walk. And so going from that, like, people
Let me ask you, doesn't that make more sense?
Oh, 100%.
Like,
I feel weird when
fucking stupid.
I feel weird when I'm on escalators and I'm with someone and we're both side to side on the same step. It feels so weird to me.
Yeah, you're like, what are you doing?
I've gotten so used. The crazy thing is, I've been gone from Japan longer than I was there, and those habits still stuck with me.
Yeah. Also, I've never lived in Japan. I don't know its culture very well, but some of the things I hear, like, oh yeah, like burping, it means you like the meal.
Yeah.
It's like Americans are so prudish. It's like, oh, you burped, ooh, gross. Like, fucking problem.
Well,
The human body is a wonderful, marvelous thing. You want to repress all these things.
Yeah, one of the cool things, it was so easy to just meet people too.
Yeah.
Like, you could be at a bar and I always went to this spot called the Hub, and it was just a a bar with a lot of foreigners would go.
Okay.
So there's always Japanese people, but you would always find people from Europe and things like that.
All right.
All you had to do was look at a group of people at a table and just lift your glass and say "kanpai," which means cheers. And then it's like you can, if they do it back, you can be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Where are you guys from?" Like, that's all it took.
Wow.
Yeah, here that might start a fight.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, and then I would come back and just see people driving and just so angry, just hauling ass down the road. And I'm like, why is everyone so mad?
The rat race.
Yeah. But yeah, Japan's cool. And that's cool. And then I do like Argentinian culture as well, because they're very friendly, very laid back. And they're very Italian-esque in their manners and, you know, what they do.
Yeah.
But just the Spanish-speaking version is what I tend to tell people.
Okay. So they talk with their hands?
Yeah, kind of what I've been doing. It's like talk with your hands and stuff like that. They actually do this a lot too. Yeah, that's the cool. That one's cool.
What does that mean?
Depends on where the hand placement. Like,
Wow.
So if, say, you're far away and you're trying to tell me something and I can't hear you, I'll be like this, like, what did you say? Or I'll point to my ear and be like, I can't hear you.
Right.
Or say I come into the room and I go like this, it's like, are you hungry or do you want to eat?
Isn't it sign language too?
I don't know. It could be. I feel like it is, but that's where I've got.
It's from sign, or
Other way around.
I think sign language probably adopted that from. Yeah, but what do I know? I don't know sign language. What am I, freaking a genius? No, not yet. So, would you ever do a character on stage?
I'd be willing to. Like the idea came to mind, but I don't know if I can ever fully commit to it, because I might be doing it and maybe I'm not getting the reaction I wanted, and then I'll just immediately back out.
Sure.
But I would want to. I have thought about it, but I don't know if I could commit to it.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
No, I've never signed up for one.
Okay, well, sign up to be booked on comedy or worse at Quantum Brewing, trying to get people to like vote for the best feature. The first week I did it, 2 people voted for Austin Train. Even though it seemed like no one was going to vote. But then at the end, the next day I look and, 2 people actually voted. I think they wanted to wait and to see everybody.
Which is fair.
But I was like, you could just change your vote. But they didn't believe me, I guess. So, and trying to, like, just get feedback who's doing good. Because I know who I think did the best, but,
right.
And also like collect people's emails, because not every, if you sign up through Eventbrite, then Eventbrite gives me the email, and I use Eventbrite to send out emails anyway, so
right.
It's pretty convenient. And at first it was like I was collecting emails, but I didn't really make that clear, and I'm like, I probably didn't make it clear,
right?
That and it was like a little bit of a hassle because I had each person's name and I added people to the feature. Then I had to like go in there and add their name for them to get to vote. And then I'm like, I'm just going to make it to where they just type the name. And then if people spell the name wrong, it's going to be pretty obvious.
Right.
Unless, like, I think Friday we have 2 different Kyles on the show. And Kyle Dean and Kyle Drake. So they can't just put Kyle D either.
Or just Kyle, yeah.
Or Kyle, yeah. So.
Do you ever put the voting, like, let people know about the voting before they show up, or do you just say it in there?
That's a good question. I should have done that. I just been in like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and forgot to add that in.
Gotcha.
I should have added that in. That's a good. So now I will make sure that I do that ahead of time. Put that into there. Yeah, good idea.
Cool.
And trying to share a portion of the tips to the feature that
wins
gets the most votes.
Yeah.
And if one person votes for one person or one feature, then you win automatically, and no one else votes for anyone else. You won. So it's not like
right.
it's not that hard to win. Just give me your emails.
Yeah.
Please, the public. It's so hard to get good. It's also a good email, right? Because there's emails out there that just because you have people that that their email, and it's maybe they're just going to unsubscribe, or just ignore it or whatever. But hopefully it's because they've actually come to a comedy show, and hopefully they had a good time.
Right.
And they've heard me say comedy or worse a few times. They're going to see, oh, comedy or worse, that sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, we went to that show. Oh, yeah, they're doing it every week,
Gotcha, yeah.
And who knows? I mean, hopefully it can just keep doing that show until they tear the building down, but you never know.
That's the hope, right?
What's that?
I said that's the hope.
Yeah. Or hopefully they decide to just build apartment complexes over the top of it somehow, right? Because that's what I heard.
They're gonna do that?
They're gonna tear that. It's gonna be years, but the person that wants to because it's just one story.
Right.
So it's pretty.
You could just stack on top,
It's pretty silly just to have things just be one story when places are zoned for multiple, stories, right across the street,
Yeah.
or even here, there's people upstairs.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they're upstairs every inch of the building, but there's parts of the building where there's
I feel like
people upstairs.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd ever want to live above a comedy store or comedy club.
Yeah, I don't know either. I want to live above a bookstore. Or
yeah, somewhere.
Or something's open during the day.
Right.
Not be open till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, the people that live above the venues in downtown. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if I could.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I could.
Yeah, I live downtown and it's not easy, but luckily I'm down in the basement, so it's pretty
nice.
It's pretty nice.
Hell yeah.
I can sleep till noon if I really wanted to on my day off.
Wow.
And it's it's dark. It's because you're in the basement. There's no windows in basements. Get it? If there was, you would just see the dirt. Or just a window and there's concrete.
Or it's one of those where it's slightly above the ground. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, help.
I need some air.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so what's your best booking story so far? Have you ever ran your own show?
I have not. No, I've thought about it.
Try it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Give back to the community, man. Just always taking these stage times. Just take. What about us, man? Give back. I'm talking to you people more than him.
Yeah.
No, I love the audience, whoever you are. Also, make sure, another reason for the podcast is to encourage people to go see live comedy.
Gotcha. How else are we going to get to Netflix?
Oh, I want to be on the next platform.
Oh.
After Netflix.
That's fair. Same. I feel like if I were to blow up by the time that happens, that would be the next one.
Yeah. It's going to be beamed right into your eyeball.
Comedy Central's making a comeback.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you consume comedy right now? You just watching stuff live or?
Yeah, I tend to just, in my attempt of potential networking or just seeing people that I've never seen before, I'll go to others' shows. If I know a comic who's running the show, I'll go see it. Or if, say it's one of the comics that I'm friends with and they're on a show I haven't gone to, I'll go check those out. A couple of times. I don't watch stand-up on like YouTube or Netflix as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Doing comedy kind of took away the fun of just enjoying.
What about like? Have you ever listened to like comedy podcasts? Like, not obviously not this one, but WTF or You Made It Weird or
no.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've heard of them. I never really looked them up either. So.
Well, like, say your favorite comic is on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever watch or listen to that?
I'll probably watch like a couple or listen to an episode or two, and then I'm just like, okay, that was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Makes sense. So what is the worst thing about comedy right now?
I feel like there's a lack of how do I explain it? Like it's kind of what you were just saying. It's everyone's take, but no one's trying to give back.
Right.
So, and I'm part of that problem.
He's coming to the first step. He's like he's part of the problem.
I'm very aware I'm part of the problem, but I'd say it's that, and then not everyone, but a lot of people will complain. It's like, oh, no one's doing this, no one's doing that. It's like, well, you're not either. So at the very least, I try not to complain about it because I know that I'm part of the problem. Yeah. I'm fully aware that I'm part of the problem.
Yeah, and like before I had the venue, Quantum Brewing, or doing comedy or worse, I would ask people that had venues. I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And
no
I
one
would
really
tell you the same, what they said. Well, there's multiple ways too, because like Dayton like called up a bunch of people, places, and we were able to do comedy or worse at a different venue.
Right.
And it went well, except we had to bring everybody.
Right.
We had to bring the audience, we had to bring the comics.
Damn.
And like it was like, no wonder they want something here. It's like
it's dead.
It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It's like literally like 2 blocks from like a shopping mall that's busy, but you wouldn't walk
towards that direction
because it looks like you're going to get mugged or something. Over by the sports arena.
Gotcha.
And then like later on, someone else did comedy there, and I was like, oh, I wonder how that went.
Did it not go good?
I haven't looked to see if they are still doing comedy there or not.
Yeah, I feel that's I don't know. I personally would think that people would be more willing to put that out there, like, hey, this is how I went about it, in case you want to do a show somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, okay, I guess I didn't finish the story. Is that I was going to Mic Drop, and it's the second time I went to Quantum Brewing, and the first time I saw that there's going to be comedy here, or it was the first time it already had passed. So I'm like, I just didn't ask about it. It already happened. Right. But the second time, the comedy was like literally the next day.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm a comic. How do I get on that? And I just started talking to the owner. I didn't even know it was the owner. I just saw it was the bartender.
Gotcha.
And then
the talk came.
And then it was like you know how you can just like kind of get a sense of what people maybe want? Mm-hmm. Like I just kind of got this feeling that he wanted to have comedy there more often. Because like the way he said it, he's like, oh yeah, it's just a brewery tour, and they come by every couple months.
I see.
And he's like, it's great, but and I was like, oh, okay, well, do you want it like more often?
So he was hinting like it's not happening as often as he'd like.
Well, I don't know. Like, I don't totally remember. It's not like I record. Like it's just like this sense of.
Gotcha.
I was on the lookout for it. I guess a venue, right? And I'm like, yeah, this would be a great place for comedy. Right. I like wanted to be booked on that show, and talking. It's like even if I got booked on the show, the next day, it would only be like every couple months or whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah, because of the fact that it was a tour.
And then I was like afraid am I encroaching on someone else's territory? Oh, it's an out of town comic? Oh, okay. I'm not as worried about it now.
Right.
Because I can provide something that they can't. I don't know. I've never, as far as I know, I've never talked to them. Maybe they would want to do it every week and just do the same thing I'm doing, except that they would just have other people run it.
Right.
But the other thing was he was having to pay them to be there. And this is my first venue.
Yeah, you don't
so I was like, I'll just do it for free.
Right.
And that was a mistake, for sure.
Well, yeah, with the amount of people you're bringing in
now. Because, now I'm just, locked into this, doing this free show and just having to rely on tips.
Gotcha.
I
mean, there could always be the whole, during that time frame, a percentage of the sales or something.
Right, but he's, trying to sell the place. So, and it's been a long time since I knew he was trying to sell the place. So it's I wanted the sale just to be over so I can renegotiate.
Right.
And I love Martin so much. He's so great, but he's always there. So he's having to it's hard for people to do it. At least for me, it's hard for me to do my same jokes in front of him over and over and over. Because it's
yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
But
it's not like he's just a bartender. He's
right.
The owner. I have to make sure that there's all this added pressure of making sure the show is going perfectly.
But in a way,
he's always there listening.
In a way, doesn't that push you to come up with more things faster? Because there's that added pressure.
But he's also not a comedy club owner, so there's things.
So it doesn't matter.
So there's things that he thinks that are right. That he does. To really develop comics, you've got to make sacrifices that don't make business sense.
Right.
So
I
you know what I mean?
fully agree with that. Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, there was a heckler, and the hecklers tend to drink more.
Right.
Right. So you don't want to kick out hecklers, and then an audience member, I don't know if he's really a comic. He's performed before. Got upset and pushed the heckler outside, and it happened to be a lady too.
Oh.
And then he got banned for doing that.
Oh shit.
That was so stupid of him to do, because no one asked him to do that.
Right.
His friend, as a comic, didn't encourage him to do that, or
right.
She was heckling, but she wasn't being so bad.
That's crazy to just not even.
And it's I don't have total control. I can't just be I'm going to take the. Also, hecklers aren't going to tip anyway. They might tip the bartender.
Right. They're not going to tip the show.
Tip the show.
Because at that point, clearly they're not interested.
Or they want to make the show. So there's people that aren't interested. There's people that are having a good time and want to make the show better.
Right.
So I haven't had any hecklers actually tip. I've even tried to hint at it, and it just it goes right over their head.
Gotcha.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's you just made this actual work.
Right.
I'm doing this for free.
Right.
Now,
I think if there was more push for people to give back, and the the development of other comics, that would probably make this scene a lot better.
Yeah. Maybe I should just have like, oh, okay, you're heckling? Oh, you gotta pay the heckle fee.
There's that. That'd be cool if they actually do pay it, though.
And then I guess, like whose set they ruined the most. Okay, here's some money to compensate.
It's not even like who's the best set. It's like they talk the most during your set.
Yeah.
That's funny. I like that. 2 different tips.
I don't know. Just trying to figure out how to keep the show going and not have it cost me money.
That is fair.
Yeah, because there have definitely been weeks where I'm using the tips to pay for ads and to help slowly pay myself back for the equipment.
Right.
And now I'm trying to like use some of the tips to pay the comics, but I obviously can't
do all of that.
Feature comic. So it's like, okay,
who's the best one? Yeah.
who's the best? Get some feedback and some email. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, back to the interview. Have you ever been into a car accident?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not like a crazy one, but I've gotten hit. Yeah.
You've gotten hit?
Yeah. There was coming onto my lane on the freeway, but luckily I saw them and I was able to just, as they were hitting me, I was able to move. But it's still technically a hit.
So did you guys pull over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good. They didn't be like, oh, well, it's fine.
Yeah,
Keep driving.
No. It was weird because the guy didn't speak English, which, I was able to speak to him in Spanish, but it's like I had to call his insurance and talk to them. So that was interesting.
He had insurance, but he wasn't able to. I get why, because the person.
The representative
spoke
English, yeah. Wow. So he was like, "Hey, can you tell them whatever?" And I was like, "All right."
Well, geez. So he's very trusting, because what if it was your fault?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Then you could have just said, "Oh yeah, he hit me."
Yeah, right.
But luckily it was his fault, so it worked out better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But aside from that, nothing. No.
So, did you get your car repaired, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the insurance covered it. I initially had to pay the, what is it? Not the down payment, the deductible. But once fault was given and I wasn't responsible, then they just paid me back.
Okay. Did your insurance go up?
No. Fortunately, no.
That's good.
Yeah. But under my insurance, I get renter's insurance and stuff like that too, so it's a little more expensive already, but luckily it hasn't gone up more.
Do you have full coverage, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too, but I'm just thinking I might
just get liability.
Go down because it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, everything's
I paid cash for the car, and then I'm like, well, if someone just steals the car or something, I'm just going to be out all that money, or get in an accident and it's not covered by liability or whatever.
No, my car is already. Fortunately, it's mine. It's already paid off, so that's cool. I got it brand new. It was nice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I messed up my credit. So just suffering through the 10 years. If you don't pay anything, it just will go off your credit automatically after
but you have to wait 10 years. Damn.
I'm already over 5 years. I think it's 6 years. So more than halfway there.
When I was
It's a perfect time to start comedy. It's 10 years, supposedly. It's going to take me 20 years, though.
I think when I was 22, 23, I was obsessed with trying to get higher credit score.
Yeah.
So I did everything I could. I was learning so much about credit on how I could get it improved and things like that until I got to 800. And then I kind of stabilized. I was like, all right, I'm good now.
That's cool.
So that's been fun.
Yeah, the crazy thing about Credit Store is they're really good at it, and they the things you have to do to have your credit score increase. It's like you have to use your credit.
Yeah, and you're like, I clearly can't.
Yeah, so you have to like just, I don't know.
It's cool.
And it's an easy way to, if you start using it and then you start slipping, and then
right.
all of a sudden you owe thousands of dollars, and you've changed careers and you make less, and you're like, well, I'm just not going to pay it back at all. Sorry.
Like
And they're big corporations, okay? Like, don't worry. If I
We
borrow
need
money
the
from
money.
you, I'll pay you back. I'm paying my bills now. I know I'm a bad person, okay? I'm trying. Just like talking to the camera. Sorry, I got this interview about you. So, do you have any merch?
Merch?
Yes.
No, I'm working on that. I want to start a show. I want to start a production company. I'm working on getting designs for logos and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a logo first before the company?
Well, I have the name for the idea of the name for the company and stuff like that. I'm taking some business classes to help me kind of get that up and running.
I don't know. Maybe you can help me.
Yeah.
Cool. So is there anything else you want to talk about?
It was a wide range of topics. No.
So how do you feel about social media right now?
It's beneficial for sure. I think it kind of sucks that that's kind of something you have to rely on in order to progress. Or I feel like that's a thing.
You should rely on getting funnier.
Well, yes. But I've also seen some people that are really funny and don't have a huge following, and that hinders them.
Sure.
I've also seen people that aren't that funny and have a huge following, and they get significantly more opportunities. So it's,
Right, but if you follow what happens, then kind of those opportunities start falling away.
Right.
Because they're not, well, yeah, you have all this following, but nobody came to see you. They just happened
Right.
to be at a comedy, and then you're doing bad. Or
Right.
You don't worry, it catches up to them. And I think it will come around to where people aren't, well, I don't know if it ever will totally come around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm not at a point where it's benefited me. Like, no one's like, oh, hey, I saw that you posted your show on Instagram, so that's why I came.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that I do know that people have come to stuff because they've seen it on social media.
Well, that's cool.
But it's not like a lot, and it's not like that very often.
Right.
And it's not like, I don't know. It's not like then they tipped too. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost this first thing where it's like they'd probably be less likely to tip.
Right.
Cause it's like, oh well, I already know that guy, or I don't know what the.
I do think it is also.
You're paying for like I didn't even see the ad.
Right.
Like, why are you paying for ads? Like I'm following you. I came to your show.
Right.
Like, why are you asking for money now? It's a free show.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like hard to get in people's heads. It's like to understand that the ads bring other people to the show, and then more people in the show or the audience, then the better the show goes.
I think it might be about the upfront, kind of like what you're putting out up front. Because if you're saying it's free and then you're asking money, or if if you're like, hey, donations.
There goes the owner of the venue.
Right. So it's kind of like
saying what because I did have it. It was great. It was a free show, but on Eventbrite, I figured out that you could have donation-based tickets. Mm-hmm. So I switched to donation. It still said it was a free show. Had all the information. People could have just showed up. You had to at least donate $1 to get a ticket, right? Right. And then the problem was people were calling him, and he'd be like,
Why?
"It's a free show," and they're like arguing with him. No, it's not. Yeah, I have to put in money. So then I had to like, even though like not most people, but there were people that were giving me like $5, $10,
Oh, wow.
or whatever, and then and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be able to bump up how much I'm paying in ads,
Right.
because it's actually making money. But then just didn't want to deal with the phone calls and the harassment. And then I just would have been like, I just could have figured if he could have worked with him and say, okay, look, I'll give you a percentage of the money to put up with it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we'll just make it, you paid for the show, but then you could just wave people in that you have to recognize they were regular customers or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, talked about this before. It's kind of frustrating. Hopefully, with the new owners, I'll be able to like explain. Look, we can lock one of the doors. Lock the door that's closest to the stage.
Yeah, so they're not coming.
And then have somebody, even just like someone sit at a table outside with the donation thing outside and be like, "Yes, has a suggested donation." This is for a comedy show. So suggested donation of like $5, $10 or whatever. And he just doesn't want to do it. So
yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, definitely less people would come.
Right.
But it's just catch-22. You just like actually make the show a paid show, then they will actually stay for the show, the whole thing.
Right.
It's another thing. A free show, they just
then they'd be more willing to vote.
They'll be more willing to vote.
Yeah.
Part of the money that I paid up front is going to actually go to the comics.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
And you'd be able to like attract like better comics. Give the headliner $50 no matter what happens or whatever.
Right. It's like you'll take a hit this time, but maybe next time you're making more off of that or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see.
Hopefully.
Yep. So what do you think you want to do next the most? Do you want to like run your own show or have your production company or?
Right now I'd say the production company, because I'd use that to start shows. So if I were to, do something with a venue, it's not necessarily attached to my name, and that's the whole idea behind that for me. I can still go do my own thing, and it's like those are two separate entities, if you will. I could have different variations of a show.
Yeah, but you can do that without a production company.
I know, but also like the money you're putting in too. It's like you can put money in, but it's a part of that as opposed to like just me taking a full loss or a full hit.
So you're talking about for tax purposes?
Yes. So there's that.
Yeah, but do you understand how much money it costs every year for these business license? And
I think for an LLC it's like $800 a year, something like that.
You think I'm making $800 a year?
That's if you get it registered in California.
Right. It's just, to me, it just doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe the IRS is going to come knocking on my door and say, you should have done what we told you to do. Yeah, you're screwed.
I feel like...
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's risk, but it's like...
Is it worth it, the risk? Yeah.
Is it worth the risk? I mean, like, what's the worst going to happen? My credit score is already bad. What are you going to take from me next?
I think it's not. So the comedy, making the shows would be just like the initial stage or the step for the company. Eventually, if I could take that off, if that takes off, the idea would be like, oh, maybe now I can start getting comics to do sketches or, skits and stuff like that, and kind of build up from there.
Yeah, but once again, you could do that without a production company. I've done sketches.
Yeah. It's for me, it's just being able to do things without it being attached to my name, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not going to name your production company off your name?
No, it's not going to be Robert Sanchez Productions.
Yeah, and now, like, when I'm telling people about my brand, I'm just being like, oh, the easiest thing is just to say comedy or worse.
Right.
So, but it is nice to have two different Instagrams, my personal Instagram and my comedy or worse Instagram. But
what made you want to start the brand, though?
It was more like, well, what should I name the podcast?
Gotcha.
And then it was like, wait a minute, comedy or worse is just such a good name.
Right.
Then I started naming the show that,
and then that kind of just followed everything.
Comedy or worse at Quantum Brewing. It was, I don't remember.
It's Quantum Brewing Comedy Show.
Yeah, just a free comedy show at Quantum Brewing.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, duh. I should name it Comedy or Worse, the same thing as the podcast.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I think also when I had got to do a show in the Gold Room, and then they're like, "Oh, do a theme. You have to have a theme, to help sell a ticket." And I was like struggling with a theme, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'll just have comics that have been on the podcast on the show."
So there's a connection.
9 people, bought tickets, so wasn't really able to do it again. I didn't even ask them because, like, I want to wait a few years and like build up my email list and like following and be like, pack the fucking Gold Room and then
go from there.
And then be able to do it again, and have
Yeah, essentially, I would kind of be doing something similar to that. It's just I'd be adding the paperwork behind it. That's ultimately what I'm. As of right now, based off this conversation, I feel like that would be the biggest difference.
Sure, but not to talk you into doing anything that you shouldn't do.
Right.
But what if you got a venue? You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, paying all that money, the risk is that you pay all that money and then it goes nowhere. What if a whole year at a production company, you don't do any skits, you don't get a venue, like, now you just paid $800 on all this paperwork for nothing.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you can always do the paper. Like, right now, I could have Comedy or Worse be LLC, and I think that would make more sense in my mind for me to do that now than for you to do that first.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense.
Because people know, other comics know my brand, Comedy or Worse. Mm-hmm. They know that I want to do sketches and such, that I've been in sketches. So I think they would have a better chance of doing it, right?
Yeah,
actually start doing the thing and then like, okay, I'm, especially like after, who knows what I think I will also wait and see what happens with the new owner. Like, can I convince him to make it a paid show?
Right.
It's like, okay, now we're cooking. So now I'm going to make it LLC.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely need to talk to more people, see kind of what they've done and what works.
Talk to people that are doing merch and
see how that goes.
Even like, or maybe like Ace does have his own business because he's actually making money at the karaoke and all that. Right. But then there again, he's already has a reputation and a following in the business where he has the equipment, he has the experience. He goes from venue to venue. Who's going to pay him? Yeah.
Well, as of right now, I'm mostly just doing the stuff needed to just learn about it. I haven't put any money down. I haven't fully, like I said, the classes I'm taking, it's more about developing the idea that you have and going from there. So that's been helping.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's kind of. Fortunately, I haven't put any money down. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I haven't put any money down. I basically want to do kind of what you're saying and be able to build something up before I like fully.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that either I convinced you or I didn't need to convince you.
Yeah. It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both.
Yeah. Because even when Micah and Kent Bradley, like they were trying to well, let's make an LLC, and it's like, well, we're making no money in this.
Right, yeah.
And then I got a venue, and it was like, oh, no. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. And then Micah moved away, and then Kent dips out, and he's not at the show anymore. He's like working, and it's like, oh, well, I'm so glad that we didn't do the LLC.
Right.
or maybe we should have been like.
Yeah,
I would be the only one running it, and then they would be like have paid some of the money to get it started.
I'm lucky too, just because there's some of the benefits from having been in the military is what offers those classes. So that's kind of it's also one of those like, oh, if it's there, why not just take advantage of the teachings or kind of going from that.
I'm not trying to convince anybody to stop learning.
Yeah.
It's just.
But no, that does add insight to what I'm trying to do. So thank you.
Really, hopefully that's part of the business plan is that, like, part of the building it is, like, to do the research, start contacting venues.
That is part of it, yeah, for sure.
And it's like, well, if you already have venues lined up, they're not asking you for your business license more than likely.
No.
They let you handle that.
Right.
That's your thing. I don't need to hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
Yeah, and then have.
I didn't know. I thought he seemed legit. He has a logo.
Yeah, that's fair. But no, hope eventually, or I'm hoping to get soon, a logo and try to do merch stuff and build a brand, kind of the way you were going about it.
Thank goodness. This is good. I can't wait to hear. You should come back when
it's up and running.
Anytime.
Or if it's established, yeah.
Anyway, so how do people get a hold of you on social media?
I have my Instagram handle is the original Fonz with underscores in between the names.
Pretty original.
It was a nickname that I had in high school. They called me I was in band, and they were calling me Fonzie, and that's when I created the Instagram. And once I started doing comedy, I just started putting stuff out. I'm like, I've had this.
You can change your Instagram at any time, right?
Right, but at that point, for me, it's dumb. I know, but I'm like, I've had this for so long. I'm just keeping it.
Just the original part is throwing me off. Are you trying to say that?
I tried to do the Fonz, but that was taken.
Sure, I get it. But you're saying that the person that wrote Happy Days took your idea before you were born?
No.
What?
That's actually the reason why I got that nickname too.
Wait, what?
Because when I first got to this school, they wanted to give me a nickname, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna call you like Fonz," and I was like, "Why?" It's like, "Oh, because of the guy from the show." It's like, "Okay, what does that have to do with me?" It's like, "Well, in the show, this character just doesn't give a fuck. It just does his own thing."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Okay," and it's like, "And you don't give a fuck, and you just do whatever you want." And I was like, "That checks out." So that kind of just stuck. And even now, I'll see friends from high school and their parents that met me back then. They don't call me Robert.
They call you Fonz?
Yeah. They're like, "Hey, Fonz. Hey, Fonzie, how you doing?" So it's...
Okay, well...
If I was ever to do a stage name, that was the idea. But, again, because of just the Happy Days thing. So I was like,
Yeah, my biggest gripe is it says the original.
Right.
That doesn't make sense in my logical brain. But
I mean,
change it to Fonz Comedy or something.
Oh, that's fair. I never thought of that, to be honest.
I'll see if that's won't even have to have an underscore.
I'll see if that's available. Actually, I like that.
There we go. Just pay my consultant. No, I was joking. This is free. He's on my podcast. That's the way to give back, is to give advice. All right. So, you happy with the podcast?
Yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of questions I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I keep guessing.
Hence the
Nobody
delayed
would
response.
listen to the podcast.
Hence the delayed responses.
No, that's fine. We'll just edit that out in post.
Yeah, just cut. That's funny.
Anyway, thank you so much for doing the podcast, and bye, everybody.
Yeah,
This
thanks
has
for having
been
me.
Comedy
Or worse.